Okay, this is the Unit 12 grammar presentation, which is on pages 199 and 200. Okay, the first point they make about an adjective clause is that it follows the noun that it modifies. So when I say they met a woman who teaches psychology, this is the adjective clause with the relative pronoun, and it goes after the noun a woman. It tells me more about the woman. I've read everything that discusses her work. Here's your adjective clause that goes after everything, tells me more about everything. Okay, this is something that the book does not really explain, but I think it helps a lot, is the idea of embedding. An adjective clause embeds or buries one sentence inside another. So here's your sentence with the adjective clause. I met a woman who teaches psychology. Here's the main sentence, I met a woman. The embedded sentence, the woman teaches psychology. This is buried into the sentence up here. And when I say, I've read everything that discusses her work, here's the main sentence. Here's the embedded sentence that then is put into the sentence. Okay, who and that are relative pronouns that we use when the subject is a person. I have a friend who loves to talk. I have friends that love to talk. These are both correct. You can say either one. I have a friend who loves to talk, or I have a friend that loves to talk. These are both correct sentences. This is the main sentence. This is the embedded sentence. I have a friend. The embedded sentence, the friend loves to talk. Here it is in the plural. I have friends who love to talk. I have friends that love to talk. These are both correct. Main sentence, I have friends. Embedded sentence, the friends love to talk. Okay, when I have which or that, in this kind of sentence, I can use these interchangeably. This is a book which is useful, or I could say this is a book that is useful. These are books that are useful, or I could say these are books which are useful. Okay, so here is my sentence. This is a book which is useful, or this is a book that is useful, and your main sentence and your embedded sentence. In the plural, okay, here's the main sentence, and here's the embedded sentence. Okay, now when the relative pronoun replaces the object of the embedded sentence, this is what we're going to look at now, and you also have a little file called a book that explains this in more detail, but this is when I can leave out the relative pronoun, and that's where I put a 0. So I can say this is the doctor who we consulted. This is the doctor whom we consulted. This is the doctor that we consulted. This is the doctor we consulted. All of those sentences are correct, and they all mean the same thing. And what's happening there is that here's the main sentence. Here is the embedded sentence, and you can see this is the object. The doctor is the object of the verb in the embedded sentence, and that's why I can leave it out, because the who or the whom here is talking about the doctor, which is the object of the embedded sentence, and that's why we can omit it, and we can also say this is the doctor we consulted. Okay, same thing happens where the object is a thing. This is the test which he gave us. This is the test that he gave us. This is the test he gave us. All these are correct and mean the same thing. And the reason why is that here is your embedded sentence. He gave us the test. This is the object. And when I embed this into the sentence, okay, the which and the that is talking about the test, the object of the embedded sentence, and that's why I can leave out the pronoun and say, this is the test he gave us. Okay, another thing that this idea of embedding will help you understand is how we use whose. So I say, she is the woman whose son is so famous. She is the woman whose son I am tutoring. Let's look at what's happening here with the embedding. I guess not quite. Yeah, it's the book whose reviews were so good. It's the book whose reviews I've read. And you see here, whose is actually talking about a thing, which kind of surprises people. Here, whose talks about a person, and here, whose talks about a thing. So now let's look at the embedding. Okay. Here's the embedded sentence. The woman's son is famous. The main sentence is, this is the woman, and the woman's son is famous. Use whose when there's a possessive in the embedded sentence. Here it is. The woman's son. That's a possessive, and that's why when I embed this into this, I use whose. And let's go back here. Let's go back and look at this sentence. Okay. And when I say it's the book whose reviews I've just read, okay, here I have just read the book's reviews. It's a possessive. The embedded sentence is a possessive. I have just read the book's reviews, and that's why I use whose here. Okay, where and when, using these as adjective clauses, also has to do with the embedded sentence. So if I say, remember the cafe where we met? Okay, here's the main sentence, and here's the embedded sentence. Okay, and here's a preposition. Okay, and here's your rule. Use where as the relative pronoun when the embedded sentence contains a preposition of place, like at, in, on, under. Okay. I use where when the embedded sentence has a preposition of place. Okay, now thinking about when, I remember the day when we parted. I remember the day that we parted. I remember the day we parted. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, the embedded sentence has another preposition. Okay, here's the main sentence. I remember the day we parted on that day. Okay, I can use when for the relative pronoun when the embedded sentence contains a preposition of time. On that day, in that month. Okay. Okay, this is just beginning the problem of identifying or non-identifying adjective clauses, and you have another whole little video file that explains this more completely. But the woman who created the test studied psychology. The test that she created describes personality types. Okay, these are identifying clauses. Okay, I am using this clause to identify the woman. What woman am I talking about? I'm using this clause to identify the test, to explain which test I'm talking about. But when I am not identifying, when I'm just giving more information, I use commas, and it's called a non-identifying clause. So I say Myers, who created the test, was a Jungian psychologist. Okay, I am not using this to identify Myers. I'm just giving some extra information. Okay, the Myers-Briggs test, which she and her daughter created, describes personality types. Here, I'm not using this to identify the Myers-Briggs test. I'm giving you more information about it.